There's a lot of old friends here, and there's a lot of people who've never been to a Gary Halbert seminar before. And I hope that, some of you are not going to like me by the time this seminar is over. Some people are going to despise me. Some of you will still like me, I hope. But as I see it, my job is not to make you like me. My job is to make you rich. And I'm going to teach you everything you know to make all the money you need to live out your wildest dreams in the next 2.5 days. And I am not at all times going to be gentle about it. For those of you that are new, no one has yet accused me of being politically correct. But I will do almost anything to pound a message home. I hope that some of you don't get offended by the way I operate, but I would rather have you walking out of here getting what it is that I have to say to you than thinking, gee, he was a nice guy. I used to do seminars for Howard Ruff up in Provo, where in the Jefferson Institute, where all the Mormons were, and they would have the audience rate all the speakers. And I was always second, and there was one guy that was always first, and I hated that because I was a competitive guy back then. And I would read the evaluation forms, and he would have like a whole lot of 6s, 7s, and 8s. They rated us on a scale of 1 to 10. And mine would be all 8, 9, 10s, and 1s and 0s. Because the audience just couldn't, it's like it was dividing them with a giant meat cleaver, but everybody ended up liking him, but the people that heard me ended up making some money from it. In some ways, I believe this is going to be the most important seminar I will ever give or have ever given, and I'm going to tell you why. All of you know that things are different now, different than they've ever been, and they continue to become different at an ever-accelerating pace. The acceleration of the acceleration is accelerating. We don't know if we're going to wake up tomorrow and be at war. We have about the highest unemployment we've had in many years. I forget exactly what it is. I was at a Robert Allen seminar last week in Miami. There's normally 300,000 foreclosures a year. There's been 680 foreclosures in the last 90 days. The economy here is tubing. Everybody's 401k is now a 101k. Everybody thought they were set up for employment, for retirement. Their golden years are not going to be golden anymore. And with the leadership that we have in the country now, and I'm not going to get into politics because I have the same opinion of all politicians. You can't if you were in a business of your own right now, you can't be at all assured that that business will exist a year from now. If you have a good job right now, you can't be at all assured that your job will exist a year from now or even 6 months from now. It doesn't matter how many years you have on the job, how good your retirement plan is, or nothing. Everybody now has to start really taking care of themselves. And I'm going to show you how to do that, because there are a lot of people right now in the United States that bought into the lie that we were a country that was governed by decent, law-abiding people who was looking out for the good of everybody. And how they could have believed that of Congress, which is made up of 90% lawyers, is beyond me, but they did believe it anyway. And now we're finding out that that is absolutely not true. And so what you have to learn to do is you have to learn to believe in yourself. And the thing to do is not despair about all of this, because in 2.5 days from now, you can walk out of here and make all the money you want, because I am really going to lay it out from start to finish like I've never done in any seminar. Some of you are going to hear things you've heard before that are really basic, and some of you are going to hear some things that are going to astonish you that none of you know about. But you're going to know everything that you need to know. And I'm going to start by telling you a little bit of a story. I live in Southeast Florida, and we have people washing ashore seeking freedom every day. And I want you to imagine that there's two guys about the same age coming ashore from Cuba. And one of those guys is a dishwasher who has stolen $500,000 from a group of tourists. And he has it in a waterproof pouch attached to his body. The other guy comes ashore with nothing but the raggedy clothes that he's wearing. And he has escaped from Cuba, but he's a brain surgeon. All right? The other guy one guy has $500,000. The guy with nothing is a brain surgeon. Now these two guys make it ashore. Now we have a wet foot, dry foot policy in Miami, which means that if I am from here to there and the Coast Guard stops me, they take me back to Cuba. But if I can fight my way and get my hand on the sand, it's like safe, you know. That's honestly the truth. We have the weirdest laws in Miami you've ever seen. Just as a side thing, we have so much crime there. Well, let's suppose you're tired of your life, you're tired of your wife, you're tired of your kids, you want to go to prison and relax for a while. So you decide to steal a car. You think they'll put you in prison? No. So you steal another car? No. They won't put you in until you've stolen 9 cars. You have to steal 9 cars to go to prison in Miami because they don't have any more room to put you in there. But anyhow, let's talk about these Cubans. Let's fast forward to 5 years in the future. Let's take a look at these two men. Let's take a look at the dishwasher first. My guess is he will have ripped through his $500,000, especially when he finds out the differential in prices between Cuba and the United States. My guess is he will have partied, gotten himself a bunch of drugs and hookers, lived it up, bought some fancy cars, etc. And I would bet you 5 years from now, being a dishwasher, which doesn't put you really high on the food chain anyway, that he will run out of money and wonder how to make some more. And it'll occur to him that, gee, maybe I should sell drugs. And he probably won't be smart enough to sell drugs. And I would guess, my bet is that guy who came ashore with $500,000 will be in jail. On the other hand, if you look at the brain surgeon 5 years from now, he'll live in Coral Gables, which is one of the best sections of Miami, or one of the other really good sections. He'll be driving a Mercedes or whatever the car of his choice is. He'll probably have a nice wife. He'll have every material thing he wants. And that's because he came ashore with the only true wealth that exists. And the only true wealth that exists is that which is between your ears. You know, the money in the bank doesn't count. The money in your savings account can be wiped out. Your house can be taken away from you. You know, if you own a McDonald's franchise or just a restaurant, some woman could spill coffee in her lap and sue you for everything you've got. But the only wealth is that which exists between your ears. Now, I can't teach you how to be a brain surgeon, but I'll tell you what I do believe. I believe that the ability to write an effective sales message is the number valuable business asset any human being can have, especially if you know, and you're going to learn that here, how to exploit such a sales message. And you know, I want to tell you what it's like if you can do that. You know, if you can write a sales message, you can do it from jail. I have. Seriously, I did. You can do it from another country. You can do it from the Amazon jungle. Your overhead is a ballpoint pen and a legal pad. And you can sit down and make millions of dollars. So with this seminar, the first thing I'm going to try and do is jumpstart your greed glands just a little bit. I studied every book I could find on how to do advertising correctly. And when I was younger, back when dinosaurs still roamed the earth, and I followed all the rules and failed time after time after time. And then I sat down and said, well, what would happen if I wrote a letter and it didn't succeed? They would kill me. I'd be decapitated. So I made up my own rules for writing a sales letter. And I wrote that letter. I still remember it fondly. There's 361 words on one piece of paper. And that one letter has been mailed in excess of 600 million times. And it built a company with offices in 8 countries. It employed 700 people and brought in hundreds of millions of dollars. I've written other promotions, and so is John Carlton, who's going to be helping me with this seminar, that's virtually employed thousands of people and have been mailed to the tunes of not millions or tens of millions, but hundreds of millions. Because if you get it right, you can do that. And you can have lesser mortals do all the things that need to be done after that, such as the printing of the letter and the filling of the orders and all the rest of it. So most of this is going to be about how to craft a sales message, okay? But it's not all going to be about that. There's going to be some other stuff that I'm going to get into. But Terry, is Teresa here? I just want you to start passing out the paper and the pens. But I'm going to tell you what you need to do that's even more important than write the letter. Now, when I say letter, you can also put in there advertisement for a magazine or newspaper. You can also put in the copy that goes on a website. You know, you can also put in a radio commercial. You could also, I'm just using the letter because it's convenient. It could be the script for a television commercial. Do you understand? But the first thing is you've got to have a good sales message. Now, I'm going to start losing some of you here because I'm going to start telling you some things that are true. The first thing, before you ever sit down to write a letter, is that you need to find out what it is that people really want to buy. Here's some ways to not find out what they really want to buy. That's by asking them. Because they will lie to you. They will not tell you what they really want. Another way to not find out is to have focus groups. That way you'll have a group of people lying to you about what they want to buy, what they'll spend their money on. The other thing is, you know what the most expensive words in advertising are? It's "my wife says." And, or it could be "my husband says," in case the wife is the one with the huevos in the family. But your neighbor and your friend, asking your friend, "What do you think?" that should no longer be a part of your repertoire, because who cares what they think? If all of you read my last newsletter about the guy that he was an architect and wanted to sell his plans on the web, and his wife told him all the reasons he couldn't do it. Then he wanted to sell on CDs, and she told him all the reasons she couldn't do it. You know why she was able to know that he couldn't do that? Because she herself had already sold 300 million CDs on the internet and knew how the hell it was done, right? Bullshit. You know, That woman didn't know anything, and she is an exact example of the kind of people you've got to get out of your life, or at least just play pool and drink beer with these people. Don't talk about them. David, I'm going to need a pair of glasses, reading glasses, out of that little bag. But I'm going to talk to you about some needs first. How do you find out what it is that people want to buy? The only thing you should care about is what people spend their money on, what they actually spend their money on, and it will not be what they tell you. Some of it will, because some of it they have to spend their money on, either the rent or the mortgage payment, on food or stuff like that. But they won't tell. What you want to do is you want to find reachable groups of people who are absolutely insane, obsessed about some subject. I like to use golfers as an example and tell you the difference between golfers and bowlers. Bowlers go out to bowling alleys and they eat pretzels and drink beer and shuck and jive with their friends, etc. Golfers go out, the ones that are, except for the ones that are sane, you know, and there's not too many of them that are sane, they'll go out and they're trying to get the lowest score humanly possible. And do you know what a golfer would do if he honestly believed that you could take 6 strokes off of his score? He would give you his left testicle, his wife, his firstborn child, all the expendable money that he has, etc. Because he has this, what you're looking for addicts. You're not looking for challenges. You're looking for addicts. People that want things so badly that they won't be rational about it. That should be your number one endeavor. Your number one tool is to get the SRDS list book. I don't care if you have to miss your rent payment or whatever you have to do. Get the book and get the printed version. Don't get the online version. Get the printed version. Bon, can you tell them, here's a number, 800. Wait a minute, that's for an ad. Tell how to call and get this thing.
Well, first of all, you can go online. It's www.srds.com. 1-800-851-SRDS.
Say that again.
1-800-851.
Excuse me.
77 is SR, and then 7737.
Yes. 1-800-851-7737. Or online at www.srds.com.
I'm going to take my jacket off. Come look at this. Yeah. Terry, are you here? Did we pass out the papers and envelopes and stamps yet?
We're a little bit short on stamps. We've got to get more, but everybody's got everything else.
Everybody's got everything else? Okay. I need something with the name and address of the hotel here. And now we're going to...
Can you read it on the...
On the what?
on the note paper?
What note paper?
You'll never be able to read it. Do you have glasses?
I'm going to have Terry here help me. Now, you all have 2 envelopes in front of you and some paper? Huh? 1 envelope?
Roxanne, we're going to need some extra envelopes. The short one up here. Well,
And you should have 2 envelopes and 2 sheets of paper and 2 stamps.
y'all stamps are coming.
Stamps are coming.
Someone has fewer
Let's turn this on.
Okay. I just did it this way so you know when to stop.
Okay. All right, now take the envelope that you have, and if you look at the envelope, in the upper left-hand corner where the return address goes, in the business we call that the corner card.
The left or the right?
Well, this would be the left, wouldn't it?
No, it's my right. Is
No,
it
no,
your
this
left?
is the right over here. If you're looking down at the envelope, see, this is the left.
That's true. I was just testing you.
You know, I've been with you 17 years, and it's still... Okay, let's
This side.
this side. Okay, now we're going to write right on there, right now. What is this, the Biltmore Hotel?
Arizona Biltmore.
Right, Arizona Biltmore Hotel.
Resort and Spa.
Well, you can leave that off. Give them the address.
And then you want to put the address under it, 2400 East Missouri. And of course, the city is Phoenix, Arizona, AZ. The zip code 85016.
Okay.
You want this on both envelopes?
Yes, I want it on both envelopes. Thank you. And right below, no, actually, I want you to put down on the first envelope 10:20 a.m., just so you'll know when you wrote it. 10:20 a.m. Now to begin, I need to know how many of you in the room have a mother or at least did have one before she died. Could I see a show of hands? There's nobody in here that didn't have a mother. Okay. Now, the first thing we're going to write, but don't write it just yet, is going to be Dear Mom. Now, we're writing a letter. Oh, no, wait. I'm getting old. You know, when you get old, you lose things. I have so little left to lose. We got to finish addressing the first envelope. And I want you to put your mother's name on it. We're going to send this, even if she's dead, you know, just write your mother's name on the envelope. We're sending this to your mother. Okay. And then put in care of, on the line below it, you know, little circle, line, circle, in care of, and then put your name. And then put the address you want this to go to, and you don't want it to go to your mother's house if she's still alive. You're sending it to your mother in care of yourself. If she lives with you, in care of your work address, you know, she doesn't live with you, in care of your house. So finish off the address there. Yeah, I'm curious about something. How many people brought the sales letter with all the bullets that we promised to deliver? You know, you can always find the most anal people in the room. But they sit there, they're checking off. He said, 4 ways to improve the response rate by a trick you do with the envelope that, you know, they're not going to let me get out of unless I've covered every one of them. All right, now take your piece of paper. Do some of you have stamps? Why don't you stamp that envelope? Okay, now we're going to write a letter to your mom, and the first word is going to be Dear Mom, unless you have a pet name for your mother. You know, like you call her Candlesticks or something. You say, Dear Mom, Dear Candlesticks, Dear whatever, Dear Sweetie Pie. But Dear Mom. Okay? Then you drop down a space, and if you're writing this, but pretend you were typing it, you're going to indent 5 spaces. And we're going to do the next paragraph, which says, I'm very busy right now. Write this out in your handwriting. I'm very busy right now. And I don't have time to call. Period. And then write, so, comma, that's why I'm writing you this letter. Period. Now, we're going to go to another paragraph, and that means that we're going to leave a space between paragraphs. We're going to indent 5 spaces again, and we're going to write, you know, Mom, or you know, sweetie, or whatever you're writing. You know, Mom, comma, not only are you responsible for my very existence, comma, you are also the nourishment that has made my life sparkle. Period. I'm under a... Well, Marco, we all okay? I'm under a lot of stress right now. And, comma, for some reason, comma, I started thinking about you, period. Hey, David. All right, now we're going to do another paragraph, so that means we're going to put a space between the paragraphs. Means that we're going to indent 5 spaces again. And you write, thank you. It has occurred to me, maybe I haven't let you know recently how much I appreciate you and how much I love you, period. New paragraph. Okay. I can slow down to anybody's level. Okay, new paragraph, which means we go down a space, indent 5 paragraphs, or we go down a space and indent 5 spaces over. Now, you're going to do some original writing here, but I said, I especially like remembering the time when you, and then now you write something special there. Like when you tucked me in when I was a kid, or when you bought me that red rocking horse, or when you bought me that, something like that to your mother. I especially like remembering the time when, and then you finish it off. Okay? All right. We're going to do a new paragraph. What's that mean we're going to do? We're going to leave a space between it, and we're going to indent how many spaces? 5 spaces, and we are going to write anyway, comma, I'm going to make it a point to see you just as soon as I can, period. Now, that's the end of the letter. So all we have to do is go over to the close and put love, comma, and then write your name or the pet name your mother has for you. Fold that letter up in thirds, put it in the envelope, and seal it. Hey, Roxanne, you start picking up these letters from these people. This Roxanne's going to pick up these letters and mail it to your place. Just hand these letters to Roxanne as you get them ready. Just maybe you could help pick them up too, Terry. Let's get the picking of them up. Huh? Oh, David, Bond, start helping the people pick up their letters.
If you could pass the letters down to the center aisle, it'd be easier for us to pick them up, if you can.
Okay. Now, what time did we write that letter? 10:20. It's 10:31, so it took us 11 minutes to go through that exercise. Now, on your next envelope, you should have already addressed it and stamped it. I want you to put 10:31 so that you'll know what time you wrote this letter. Also goes to Mom, and at your address where your mom is not going to get it. Same thing.